Hi, I'm Dave Corinth and welcome to my shop. Today, I'm going to upgrade my saw joiner. This is the Ranello F. Pratt patented design, patented on January the 20th, 1891. Cast iron, 2 pieces, holds a file in place, and the purpose of this is to let you ride it across the top of a saw plate and ensure that all your teeth are on the same plane. This one, of course, has seen better days. It's missing 3 screws. Only 1 screw holds it in place. The file that's in it is not an original file. It is just a Nicholson file. The originals would have had just a squared off short file in place. And I'm going to make this more usable. I'm going to retap some screws to fit in here, and I'm going to make them thumb screws so that I don't have to have a screwdriver if I need to tighten this up or if I want to replace the file. So let's get to it. So this is our saw joiner. Pretty simple tool to use. Basically, you have a file that sits in this channel. If you take it out, you can see it slid down. And it keeps the file perpendicular to the saw plate, so you get a good flat surface when you are joining your saw. This one only has 1 set screw. I'd like to have all 4 of them so I can hold this in better. It doesn't take much to wiggle this one out. If I just turn this even the slightest amount, now you can see all I got to do is just barely tighten it, and then now it won't move. But I want this to be a little bit stouter because I've used this one a couple of times and it constantly works the file loose. Even if you tighten this down with a screwdriver, after a little while it comes loose and then the file comes out. Really annoying. So I want to get this one updated. I'm not worried about modifying this one. These are not rare. They can be found at just about any antique mall or tool dealer. It's a pretty simple design, and it's one that I like to use for back saws and panel saws. So I'm going to get this one apart, and then I'm going to take it over to the Media Blaster and start the process of getting it updated. First thing I want to do is get rid of this little bad boy. Don't need that. And there's only 2 screws that hold this in place. They're very small, and I do want to save those, so I'm going to reuse those. 1. And 2. You see it just folds in half. Looks like this one originally had Japanning or enamel finish right here where the saw plate guides. I'm not going to do that with this one. I'm actually going to keep that as cast iron. I'm not going to paint this either. And it's got some Japanning that's stuck in there. It made its way in the cracks whenever it was being refinished, but we're going to take care of that. So first thing I'm going to do is go over to the Media Blaster and blast these, and then we'll get started. So I'm a big fan of media blasting. These turned out really well. It gets in every nook and cranny, and you don't have to worry about leaving a little piece of rust. And it leaves a good surface for the paint to adhere to. Here I'm just drilling the old threads. I'm going to make these a little bit larger. These are going to be a 1032. I tap these by hand, especially when they're small, just because it's easier for me to do. I don't have one of them fancy tappers yet, so on these small things, I'll just do it by hand. And it works pretty well. As soon as I'm done tapping, I take acetone and wipe down the entire casting and make sure there's no little metal parts left in there. I also take each screw one at a time and check to make sure that they thread nice and easy. And these definitely do. That's kind of what it will look like when it's all finished, minus the black paint. But definitely will make setting that file in there a lot easier. I like to use painter's tape to go over the areas that I don't want there to be paint on. I then go through with a little razor knife and cut off the excess. When you push the painter's tape down with your thumb, it reveals these areas and makes it a lot easier to cut. Definitely test your patience. As soon as I'm done with that, I then take a file, and this is where I'm going to fettle the casting. Fettling is just simply making the casting a little bit smoother. These aren't always smooth right out of the gate, so it helps take a file and kind of smooth down those edges. Makes it a lot more comfortable to hold in your hand. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take these over to the wire wheel, clean them up, and then we're going to put some gun glue on them. I'm going to clean these up with my extremely fine wire wheel. These were in pretty good shape, so they didn't need a whole lot of work. As soon as I'm done wire wheeling, I drop each of the screws into the gun glue solution. Gun glue basically causes black oxide to form on the screws, which is a form of rust. It actually turns rust black. It doesn't take long, just 10 or 15 seconds for each screw. Take it out of the solution, and then you dry it off, making sure that none of the gun glue is left, and immediately drop it into some oil. This is just 3-in-1 machine oil is all I use. Once you're done with that, you take each screw out, let them sit in there another 10 or 15 seconds, wipe them down. I leave a little bit of the oil on there because I'm going to oil the screws anyways before I put them in, so a little bit of oil on there doesn't hurt anything. This was a common practice years ago on these older tools, was to blue screws, and I kind of like the way it looks. So I've let these dry overnight, and I found that with that Duplicolor engine paint, I use Ford Duplicolor semi-gloss, that if you handle it too soon, obviously with any finish, you'll get fingerprints on it. But it seems like overnight that works the best, or about 24 hours sometimes. This one's been sitting probably a good 18 hours, and I can touch it and it doesn't hurt anything. So I'm ready to take the tape off the back and then do a little bit of fine tuning and then put this bad boy together and see how it works. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this little stone here. It's not a fancy stone. It's just a cheap one you can buy at any box store. But all I want to do is just kind of flatten this a little bit. I'm not going to get crazy with it. I just don't want the saw to snag on anything. And then I'm just going to run it over that real quick. Feel for any high spots. And that's pretty good. I'm not going to get, like I say, carried away with it. And then the other side. Like that. And again, these are not machined flat at all. You can see there's only a couple high spots there, but I just want that saw when I'm going through it for it to not hit any little bumps. So that one's ready to go. Then before I put it all together, I'm going to take some good old Johnson's paste wax and hit those inside surfaces with a little bit of wax. Just protect them a little bit against rust. Make that saw plate maybe glide on that a little bit easier. And there we have it. Those two are ready to be assembled. And assembly should be pretty easy. It's just these two screws that I blued. Whoops. That one in there. That one in there. And then, of course, my screwdriver. And now the set screws. I went and bought a new Nicholson single cut file. I'm going to slide in there. Like so. And there you have it. It's ready to go. Well, this is what a saw joiner does. Puts all those teeth in the same plane prior to filing. And now I don't have to worry about that file popping out on me. And it looks a whole lot better. Definitely works a lot better than it did before. The knurled nuts definitely keep it in place better. Looks good. The finish on it's black like it should be. The gun blued screws look good, and I couldn't be happier with it. If you like this video, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll make more. Thanks for watching.